Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome to a new edition
Yeah.
of Sports Shop 27. I'm your host, Jermaine Coulter. To my far right, you got my main man, KJ, Kevin Johnson, former Clemson cornerback
Right.
from 99 to 2002. And today's special guest, we got a Navy University
Man,
football
Captain.
player in the house. This guy played in the 70s, played wide receiver, defensive back. Now
Oh
he's
yeah.
a now keynote speaker, also a
Mm-hmm.
motivational coach. He's a strategist, and also he works with universities in the military department and other consultations and other
Great
consulting
man.
business.
Got some
Y'all,
books out.
he's also an author. Let me add that. He has books online. You can get them on
Yeah.
Amazon. Y'all help me welcome Mr. Carl Sharperson.
Come on with it,
Jr.
man.
What's going on, Carl?
Hey,
Hey
Mr.
man,
Carl,
glad to
what's
be
up,
here.
man?
Glad to
Welcome to
be
the
in the
show.
house.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Salute.
My pleasure. My
Yes,
pleasure.
sir. So, Mr. Carl, for the people that don't know you, let them know where you're from and a little bit about your background.
Okay, we'll go way back. Born in Washington, D.C. They used to call it Chocolate City once upon a time.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Uh, Played
Yeah.
sports. If I had a baseball in my hand or football in my hand, I was out in the streets playing all the time.
That's
Uh,
right.
at the age of 14, my dad decided to move us to Spotsylvania, Virginia, 60 miles south of Washington, D.C. Halfway through the eighth grade, I go from an environment where everybody knows me and likes me to an environment where nobody knows me and they don't want me there. I integrated a school halfway through the eighth grade, learned a lot about life. People called me names, developed a mindset of it's not what you call me, it's what I answer to that's important. My high school
Right.
coach was the third most influential person in my life. He's the one that sent the recruiter to my high school to recruit me to play football at the Naval Academy, and I didn't know what the Naval Academy was, and it was only 90 miles up the road.
Wow.
I applied but did not get in initially because I was not academically competitive. My GPA and my SAT scores were not competitive. The Naval Academy sent me to a preparatory school, southern tip of Texas, Harlingen, Texas, called Marine Military Academy. I learned to study for the first time, played football, entered the academy, um, played at the academy for 2 years. My third year, I became a coach. I coached the plebes, the freshmen. Graduated in
Nice.
1976, entered the Marine Corps, went to flight school, became a pilot. Did two 6-month Mediterranean deployments, flying off of ships, one 3-month Caribbean deployment, flying off of ships. After 5.5 years, I got out of the Marine Corps, went to work for Procter and Gamble in Albany, Georgia, in a paper manufacturing plant, doing manufacturing, engineering, operation type roles. In that plant for 5.5 years, I moved to Cincinnati, Ohio, corporate headquarters for Procter and Gamble. And then I went to work for Frito-Lay in Indianapolis, Indiana, making chips, Santitas, Tostitos, Doritos. Went from a very paternalistic organization where Procter and Gamble would hire people, promote them, and develop them. Frito-Lay would steal people from Procter and Gamble, Coca-Cola, give them money, say, go make it happen. I don't care how many dead bodies you got. So that was the environment I was in. That wasn't the environment I wanted to be in. So I started looking again. Took a job in Topeka, Kansas,
Okay.
with Colgate Palmolive. The subsidiary was actually Hill's Pet Nutrition. We made science diet and prescription cat and dog food. Ran a union facility there for 3 years. We had the oldest equipment, the oldest people, the only union plant in the facility, the only union plant of the 4 plants that we had. 20% of the workforce was illiterate, and we were the best performing plant in the system.
Wow.
We took a very traditional union facility where people could only do one job, turns it into a high performing work system where people could do multiple jobs. Constantly moving west. My parents were living in Virginia at the time. My wife's from Jacksonville, Florida. So I wanted to live somewhere between those two states. So I took a job as the vice president of manufacturing for Dunlap Schlosinger, making golf balls and golf clubs in Westminster, South Carolina. So that's what kind of brought me to Clemson. Moved to
Okay.
Clemson,
All right.
and after 12 years, moved to Anderson, South Carolina, which is where I live now. Been married 39 years. I have a 37-year-old son that lives in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Daughter that lives in Alexandria, Virginia. She's 34. First grandson born, 9 months old, Carl the Fourth, in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Helped start up a church with Jeff Davis about 20 years ago. called Freeway Church. I've authored 2 books: Sharp Leadership, Overcome Adversity to Lead with Authenticity, which talks about my life, how to navigate this world. And then my second book came out about 3 years ago called Sharp Leadership, Parenting Principles for Rearing Young People. It's all stories about my son and my daughter. How do you make sure that when they're 18 years old, they can be healthy, happy, productive young people? What kind of skills do they need? They need to be able to manage their money, have a good work ethic, be able to communicate, be able to navigate this world. It talks about social media. It talks about bullying, all the things that I think are important for rearing healthy, happy, productive young people.
All right,
Love
man.
the
Wow.
Lord and glad to be here.
All
We
right, man.
appreciate you coming on the show, Carl, man. It's been a great, long journey, successful for you. Family man, keynote speaker, best-selling author on the show tonight. We
Yeah,
appreciate your presence, okay?
yeah,
Go
yeah, you
ahead.
done a lot in your lifetime, man. Appreciate that.
Yep.
Hey, so what age you start playing sports, and what sport was your first love growing up in DC?
Yeah, I grew up, I was always in the streets, man, playing ball, um, kickball, baseball, football. So those were the sports I played as a young kid.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay. So, in that area, when you grew up during that time, who were some of the people that you looked up to? I mean, it could be your father, it could be anybody, a family member, a relative, a brother, or it could be even a celebrity. Like, was there anybody that you wanted to be like when you grew up?
well, I grew up wanting to be a professional baseball or football
Okay.
player.
Okay. Who was your favorite baseball, football player at that time?
Willie Mays was a basketball, I mean basketball, a baseball player,
Hmm.
famous baseball player, and I lived within walking distance of JFK of RFK Stadium where the
Yep.
Washington Redskins played,
Yep.
and so there were several football players that played for the Redskins at the time. I'm trying to think of the name of the first black that played for the Redskins. I can't remember his name now, but he actually came and spoke to my Boy Scout troop when I was about 8 or 9 years old.
Wasn't Deacon Jones, was it?
No,
No.
we're
Okay.
talking mid '60s.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
So,
Hey,
so
yeah, go ahead.
So growing up in DC, you had near experiences with professional teams. Growing up, had access to a couple of professional sports. Did you enter into rec league, or you just kept it backyard at the time?
Yeah, we had a rec league. I was thinking about it coming on this podcast because I hadn't thought about it, but there was a rec league in my neighborhood, River Terrace, and we had a baseball coach and a football coach, and we won the city championship. It was tag football, It
Okay.
wasn't flag, it was just tag.
Yeah.
And I can remember at recess, we'd play tackle football. We had like a 45-minute recess. We go out there and play tackle football in recess. Just playing all the time. I'd get up early in the morning on Saturdays and just go walk, find somebody and play ball all day. Didn't have to come home till the lights came on.
That's us. Yeah, we grew up like that too.
Hey, what age you start playing football, organized wise?
What you say organized? You
Yeah,
say
he
Yeah,
was saying.
organized
organized
football?
football. What age?
Yeah, it was touch football at the age of probably 11, 12, something like that.
Okay. Yeah. So you went played baseball and football in the rec league, won city championships. Did you know at the positions that you were playing that was something you wanted to stick with at the time, or you was just having fun with the guys from your neighborhood?
Yeah, I'm not sure I had aspirations of a certain position then. Um, I mean, I could catch, I could run.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was real basic during that time period. We didn't have no position yet. So, but we had a real good team.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, just talk about your first year in high school. How did you do?
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. So, I moved to Spotsylvania, Virginia, halfway through the 8th grade. My
Okay.
ninth grade year, I went out for football. I'd never played tackle football before. So, my coach, Coach Hal Sparks, who's still living, He's actually in the Hall of Fame in high school athletics in Maryland. He lives in Annapolis, Maryland. But he gave a talk I'll never forget. He said, "You got your pads today. If you don't want to play, turn them in. No harm, no foul. But if you stay until tomorrow, you come back tomorrow and play. I need you to stay until the end of the season, because quitters never win, and winners never quit." He said,
That's
"If
right.
you quit my football team, you might quit school. Getting married and have a wife, you might quit your wife. Have kids, you might quit your kids, because once you quit the first time, it's easy to quit the next time." So I developed a mindset at a very young age that I would never quit. Went out for the football team, did not have fun at all. Got my head bashed in. Ninth grade year playing JV ball. My 10th grade year playing JV ball, I started at defensive back and running back.
Okay.
My senior year, I'm the most valuable player of the football team. That never would have happened if I had quit. So, that's one of the things that I learned at a very young age. And some of the toughest challenges, or the best, the things that I'm most grateful for and most proud of, have come through struggle. So you
Exactly.
don't allow yourself to struggle and go through, then you won't get the max that you can get out of life.
That's right.
Yes, sir. All right. So, in the area that you played in, were there some like notable high schools that you guys competed with? Like, who was the competition in y'all area at the time?
Yeah, in Spotsylvania, when I moved there in 1967, it was pretty much a one horse town, and it was the country school. There was a school in the city named James Monroe, and they had all the athletes and the closeness and stuff like that, and they used to plummet us all the time, and we ended up beating them, which was a great victory. But it was James Monroe, Stafford High School, Orange High School, Culpeper High School, Louisa High School. They were all in probably within about a 60-mile radius of Spotsylvania, Virginia, which is 60 miles south of Washington, D.C., right between Richmond and Washington, D.C. So those were some of the schools that we played against.
All
In my
right.
junior year,
Okay.
I played baseball. We won the district championship. We were 13-1. We lost one game, and we had a real good team. And we had lost one game, and we were playing our city rivals in this game, and it was 0-0-0, like in the seventh inning, and I was playing right field at the time, and a guy hit the ball, and it was real short, and I ran and made a shoestring catch.
Oh.
And
Okay.
that ended the inning. And then we got a couple of runs, and we won that game, and we ended up being 13-1. And we were actually inducted. Our team was inducted into the Spotsylvania Hall of Fame about 3 years ago, High School Hall of Fame.
Oh man. Good stuff. Well, let's talk about coming out of high school. Talk about the recruiting process back then. What schools was looking at you?
Yeah, I had no idea. I wanted to go to college. Parents didn't have a whole lot of money, right? So again, my high school coach was the third most influential person in my life, and he said something to me when I was in 10th grade. When I was in the 10th grade, we used to have to do chores like clean up the locker room and things like that, right? So I was cleaning up the locker room, and Coach Sparks comes up to me and says, "What do you want to do in your life? What do you want to do?" I says, "I don't know." He says, "If you don't get an education, you'll be sweeping floors the rest of your life." He said, "If you apply yourself, I'll get you a scholarship." That was the first time I'd ever thought about being able to get a scholarship and go to college, right? So my senior year in high school, again, I'm the most valuable player. Now, so my junior year, Coach Sparks is my baseball coach. My junior year, we win the championship. Coach Sparks disappears. Leave. We don't know where he's going. No, he had some arguments with the superintendent and stuff like that. Anyway, he disappears. And so my senior year in high school, after I win the MVP, me and two other guys get called to the office. We don't know why we're getting called to the office. In walks this guy, 6'2", blue suit, white shirt, blue tie, white cover. He says, "I'm from the Naval Academy, and I want to recruit you to play football." The other two guys walked out. I graduated from high school in 1971. Vietnam War was still going on. Those guys says, "I'm not going to Vietnam." I
Yeah.
stayed and listened because my dad always told me, never turn down an opportunity that you haven't been offered. So I listened, and went home and talked it over with my dad, who was a World War II Marine. He says, Carl, it's a good opportunity, no money out of your pocket, good education. So that's when I applied, but I did not get in and went to the prep school. Went to the prep school, learned to study for the first time. Learned to study, reapplied, and got accepted. So Coach Sparks disappears. I don't see Coach Sparks again until about 30 years later at a reunion at my high school. He came back. He was the one that sent the recruiter to my high school. He left Spotsylvania, Virginia, went to Annapolis, coached at St. Joe High School, won several championships, and is in the Hall of Fame for High School Hall of Fame in Annapolis, right? But he's the one that sent the recruit. So again, he promised me in the 10th grade, if you apply yourself, I'll get you a scholarship. He sent a recruiter to my high school to recruit me to play football at the Naval Academy. He's still living. He's 84 years old. I can call him up today and say, Coach,
Wow.
I got a kid that's got good academics. He's a good ball player, good character. And Coach Sparks will say, if this kid is willing to travel to Iowa or Kansas or someplace like that, he says, I can get him a full scholarship right now just because of the relationships that he has. So I have an obligation in my mind to do what he does to help young people.
Man, that's impressive. It's good stuff.
That's a great story. Yeah, man, I'm in with that Annapolis, Glen Burnie area up there in Maryland. So it sounds like a great coach, man, that had your back even when he wasn't there. When you get to the Naval Academy, who's the first person you felt comfortable around that had your back there?
Probably the one of the things that they do at the academy is when you get there, you're in a company, and it's like 36 of you in a company. You get to know each other, know where you're from, and what you want to do and stuff like that. So in my company, it was 36 of us, 36 freshmen. I was the only black of the 36.
Yep.
So the lessons that I learned in Spotsylvania, Virginia, integrating that school, served me well in that environment. I knew that even though people said and did some stupid stuff, said some ignorant stuff, it's not what you call me, it's what I answer to. So that was but the other thing I learned too was, so when I left Spotsylvania, I went to the prep school in Harlingen, Texas, which was the southern tip of Texas. I realized that there was another group of people that were marginalized, and they were called Mexicans. I said, wow, this is deep.
Wow.
But anyway, so in the environment, in your company, you have to get to know each other. You can't do what they call build your classmate. In other words, you can't, if somebody asks them a question, you can't answer the question and make them look bad. You win together, you lose together. So that brotherhood there was very, very close, as well as there were several brothers on the football team that I became close to, many of which I still spend time with.
Wow.
Okay.
All right. Hey, talk about your first time touching the field.
The first time, when I was playing, it was the last year, my freshman year was the last year that, it was the first year, second year.
Talk about your first time touching the field. How was that experience?
Yeah, but there was, when I was a freshman, I think that was the first year that freshmen could play varsity ball. Before that, you had to have a freshman team.
Yep.
And only you'd have to be a sophomore, junior, or senior to play Division I football, right? So I played on the freshman team, and then my sophomore year, I joined varsity, and then my junior year, I joined varsity. My senior year, a guy named Phil McConkey was a freshman. Phil McConkey, 5'6" or 7", 165 pounds, could run like a deer. Graduated from the Naval Academy, was a helicopter pilot, and then made the team of the New York Giants and actually won a championship in 1986 with the New York Giants. Phil McConkey. So Phil McConkey took my spot, my third string spot. So I said, Coach, I'm going to coach the freshmen. So that's what I did my senior year.
Dang. Cool.
Well, I got some highlights for everybody that's watching. We appreciate you tuning in to Sports Shot 27. Subscribe on YouTube. Hit that button, notification button, so you get notification when we go live. Also follow us on Facebook, Spotify, Deezer, and Instagram. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and get into this clip. We don't own the rights to it. Mr. Carl, please stay with us. Okay.
3-0. Here too, I think. It's 3rd down and 4. Very close for the first down by Mike Roban of Great Falls, Montana, the freshman quarterback. As Dave Duncavage, who made the stop, we have a replay of his defensive work.
Yeah, Double Bean's a terrific punter. Very consistent, stylish.
40.8-yard average. And back is Gary Smithy, and a loose ball. And Navy gets the first break of the ball game. The midshipmen have the ball inside the Army 15. Recovering was number 89, Carl Sharperson, a wide receiver. Now watch.
Here comes the kick. It's a low liner. It should be handled, but went right through, and Navy had the good coverage down there, so they had the ball on inside there.
Oh, the nation's oldest service academy. Army is being tested on a 2nd and 7 now. Cooper. Dyson moving over to make the stop. Army in white, if you just joined us. Navy in the dark jerseys here at JFK Stadium.
All right, we back.
Man, y'all got some detectives out there.
You know it.
Yeah, man, we see you, man. You have highlights. Yeah, talk about the rivalry games against Army.
Yeah. So, what do you remember most about that game, Mr. Carl?
The Army Navy game is special, man. But my freshman year, not my freshman, my sophomore year, we beat Army 51-0.
Hey.
51-0, and that's still. But that was, we had the water boy going in on that game.
Wow.
So a lot of pageantry, and it was good times, man. My roommate was a guy named Boomer Stufflebeam, and he actually punted for the Lions after he graduated for a couple of years. You know, he was a great kicker, great punter.
All right, man. Hey, playing for Navy, who was the competition?
We played Georgia Tech. We played Michigan, Penn State, Pittsburgh, Boston College, Georgia Tech, BMI, Syracuse. We actually beat Penn State my junior year. Beat them 7-6. And we played we played Pittsburgh. So my coach was George Welsh. George Welsh played quarterback for Navy in 1956. Went into the Navy, got out of the Navy, then coached for Joe Paterno, and became the offensive coordinator for Joe Paterno for 15 years. He left Penn State and went to become the head coach at Navy. So he was my head coach. And why did I mention that? So when we played Pittsburgh, which is where Tony Dorsett played, in the locker room, Franco Harris came in to the locker room because Franco Harris played at Penn State under George Welsh. Yep. We got to meet Franco. That was a couple years after the Immaculate Conception. I don't know if you remember that when Pittsburgh won that game, and he got a deflected ball and ran it in for a touchdown. As well as Tom Belichick coached at Navy for 40 years, and Tom Belichick is Bill Belichick's dad. Bill Belichick grew up on the Naval Academy campus. Wow. He was breaking down film as a 14-year-old. His dad was a scout guru and played for the Lions professionally. So Bill Belichick is learning, breaking down film and stuff like that. So he graduates and then becomes an offensive lineman at a small school. Then he starts coaching.
That's a good story.
Nice.
So did you guys make it to the bowl games? Did y'all have bowl games back then? Orange
Yeah, we
Bowl,
have bowl.
Peach
I
Bowl.
didn't go to any bowl games. Army
Okay.
Navy game was our last game, but we didn't go to any bowl games when I was there.
Okay. Cool. All right. So you leave Army. You go serve in the military for a while. Talk about that experience.
Yeah, I graduated in 1976, went to flight school, became a pilot, and then served in the Marine Corps flying. It was great. Uh, I did two Western. I did well while I was at the Naval Academy. Your summer after your freshman year and the summer after your junior year, you went on a cruise somewhere. So I went on a cruise in the Western Pacific. So on those cruises, while as I was a midshipman, I got to go to Korea, Japan, Hong Kong, Hawaii, San Diego. So I got to see that part of the world. Then when I got into the Marine Corps and did some Mediterranean cruises, Africa, France, Spain, Italy, Israel,
Wow.
Greece. Got to see all that part of the world, and Puerto Rico, and so I got to see a lot of the world. At a very young age, and I realized that there's no place like the United States. We got our issues, but there's no place like the United States.
Gotcha.
That's true, man.
So you travel across the world. You still like in your mid 20s, and probably early 30s. You come back to the States. What's next?
Yeah, so I just my dream while I was in was to, after I finished my tour in North Carolina, was to go to Pensacola, get a bunch of hours of flight hours as an instructor, and then go fly for the president. The president has a fleet called HMX-1, who are helicopters that fly for the president. That's kind of what I wanted to do. Didn't I get those orders? So I said, I'm gonna get out. So I started looking to determine where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. So I wanted to go into manufacturing or sales. That's normally a pretty good transition for a military person. So I interviewed with several companies and ended up working for Procter & Gamble in Albany, Georgia. It was very a unique opportunity because the plant was founded in 1971, and in 1971, the leadership of Procter & Gamble said they wanted to hire the same multicultural mix as the community. So when I got there in 81, 40% of the technicians were African American, 20% of the managers were African American, and 20% of the managers were women. That's unheard of. You don't even see that today. So it was a very rich environment to learn how to deal with diversity. We were the best performing plant in the system. So that's kind of what I did there. Learn from people that looked like me, learn from people that didn't look like me. The second black plant manager in the whole company came out of that plant. Had some great relationships with those individuals. It's really a great opportunity to be able to learn from people that have gone through similar trials and tribulations, and you can learn from them and realize what you need to address, what you don't need to address. But if you're my take is if you're in any competitive environment, you could be a lawyer, you could be a doctor, you could be an engineer, you could be an actor. It doesn't make any difference. 9 times out of 10, you're gonna be in a lot of rooms by yourself where you're the only one that looks like you. So when you get in those environments, there's some tricks to the trade to help you not only survive but to thrive.
All right. Cool. All right. Yes, sir. Everybody is watching. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe to this channel. Got some wonderful stories going on with Mr. Carl Sharperson Jr. So, Carl, you went into the professional field in business and manufacturing. You, perfected your craft and learning. And when did you get into public speaking and motivational coach? When did you
Yeah,
started
coach.
feeling that's the niche that you wanted to discover?
Yeah, I actually started speaking as a Boy Scout. I got a badge as a Boy Scout for speaking. But while I was in the military, there were opportunities to speak, and then working for different companies, I had an opportunity to speak, and then also got some professional training in speaking once I got out of the military. But I've always liked to talk. And I've always had kind of a coaching mindset, helping people, coaching them up, supporting them, and things like that. So that's kind of a mindset that I've always had. So what I do today is a lot similar to that. And I've got a lot of experiences. 14 years ago, I was diagnosed with stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a type of cancer. 1983, I had a brain tumor removed. 3 years ago, I had 6 inches of my colon taken out for colon cancer. And I worked in 3 Fortune 500 companies. I did professional recruiting for 15 years, military, naval academy, started up a church. So it's, and in all these environments, there's some common leadership principles that apply in all of them. And that's what I talk about in my first book, Sharp Leadership, Overcome Adversity to Lead with Authenticity.
It's great, man.
Good stuff. Yeah. Well, talk about hanging out in Tiger Town. I know you did some mentorship, with some of the players there, which is a good thing. Help build a good program.
Yeah, when I moved to Clemson in 1999, it was about the same time that Jeff Davis moved back to Clemson. And he came back as the field general for the Call Me Mr. program. That's what brought him back to Clemson. And after he did that for 5 or 6 years, he actually was on the Oprah Winfrey Show, 5 or 6 years. There was an opening in the football office, and he started doing some development and then got on the football staff. So I actually helped start up the Call Me Mr. program. In other words, he started it up, but I did some training during the summer with those Call Me Misters. And I'm actually an honorary Call Me Mr. They bestowed an honorary Mr. on me. So I've helped in the community with that. And then there's an organization called Tigerhood, which is people in the community that work with athletes. Now they have Paul Journey, so I work with Paul Journey. I actually help the athletes with interviewing skills when they get ready to interview. They have these networking roundtables and things like that. I also did a 6-month stint as the interim director of military veteran engagement at Clemson University in 2021. The vice president of student affairs, a guy named Chris Miller, who I met 25 years ago at a mutual friend's daughter's wedding. At the time, he was the vice president of student affairs at Marquette University. And he called me about 6 years ago and said, guess where I am? He was the interim vice president of student affairs at Clemson University. And then about 2021, right after pandemic, the guy that was doing was the director of military veteran engagement left. He wanted me to come in and kind of shore it up until they could hire somebody full time. So I did that for 6 months at Clemson. So I know a lot of people at Clemson, military, athletes, and things like that. And just try to give back, again, because my coach did the same thing. And the other thing that I got involved with, kind of similar to that, is when my son became a 9th grader, my wife and I both became substitute teachers at Daniel High School. Okay. And we went to Daniel High School, and I was subbing there, and I noticed that none of the players were going to college. So I talked to the principal, and I said, why aren't any of these kids going to college? He says, they're going to college. The last kid from Daniel to go to college was Javis Austin. Yep. He was the last one to go from Daniel High School to Clemson, right? So, and there was a big gap in that. So what happened was they came out with the clearinghouse about that time. So you had to take certain classes and make certain grades in order to go to college. So they weren't taking the right classes, and nobody cared about it. And part of the issue was the head coach, because he didn't care about it, right? So I tell the principal, I said, why aren't all these kids going to school? We did some research. We found out 2 reasons. Number 1, they weren't taking the right classes. And number 2, if they were taking the right classes, they couldn't pass them because they needed some tutoring help. So we set up tutoring, got permission from the parents to get them certain courses, and kids started going to college. The first kid that we got to go to college graduated in 2006, which was the year my son graduated. His name was Duval Young. Duval Young graduated from Daniel High School, had an offer to App State. That was the same year App State beat Michigan. Yeah. And when
Oh
App
yeah,
State
the
beat
upset.
Michigan, when App State beat Michigan, then App State could have the pick of the litter. So they reneged on the scholarship that Duval Young had. So Duval Young ended up going to Tennessee State. But he was the first one that we got a scholarship to, and we loaded him up his senior year. Others that graduated. So while we're having this meeting about what's going on with the students and why aren't they getting in class, the principal says there's a kid out there now, man. If he puts his head on straight and applies himself, he can play on Sundays. Guess who that was?
New
Jarvis
Pop.
Jenkins.
Oh,
That
Jarvis.
was Jarvis Jenkins as an 11th grader, right?
Nice.
Jarvis Jenkins, Nuke Hopkins, Deshaun Williams,
That's
Jack
right.
Lawson, all those kids came up through that program that we set up. We set up a tutoring program. We set up a program so they could get the right classes, and it's been pretty powerful.
One for that program, they wouldn't be where they are now. Probably, most likely. Nice.
Each one teach one, man. Folk help me, man. That's what it's all about.
Yes, sir. Well, we got some more highlights on the show. The fans, if everybody's watching, please subscribe to the channel. We have Mr. Carl Sharperson Jr. He's an author, a strategist, also a motivational coach and keynote speaker. Okay, let's go ahead and get into this clip. We don't own the rights to it. Please stay with us, Carl.
Will do.
Sharperson Jr. What I'm going to tell you about my life story. And after I tell you my life story, I'm going to tell you 5 points that I have learned over time in order to be successful. I was born in Washington, D.C. When I was born in Washington, D.C., it was called Chocolate City. It's no longer Chocolate City now, right? Everybody looked like me and played in the streets, played football. At the age of 14, my dad decided to move us to Spotsylvania, Virginia, right between Richmond and Washington, D.C. Moved into an environment not only where people didn't know me, they didn't want me to be there. I integrated a school, got called names, had about this much room on the bus, right? But I learned a lot about life. I learned at that age that no matter how smart you are, no matter how tall you are, no matter what your nationality is, everybody wants the same thing. They want to be loved, they want to be respected, and they want to be successful. I don't care how much money you have, right? So I learned that at a very young age. My high school coach was the third most influential person in my life, Coach Sparks. So I played football, and then I also went to the Naval Academy, wanted to go to the Naval Academy, but my GPA was not high enough. So I went to a prep school to learn how to study. Entered the Naval Academy, played football at the Naval Academy. After the Naval Academy, I decided to go into the Marine Corps. I was a pilot in the Marine Corps, right? They told me in the Marine Corps when I was a pilot, the attrition rate is 66%. Only 1 of 3 of you are going to graduate from the time you start ground school, right? I matriculated through that, became a pilot in the Marine Corps. Did 5.5 years in the Marine Corps, traveled all over the world. And then I worked for Procter & Gamble for 7.5 years, Frito-Lay for 3.5 years, Colgate-Palmolive for 6 years. Started my own business in 2000, doing speaking, business consulting, executive coaching. But through all those arenas, I've learned some basic principles that apply in all of those arenas. Number 1, quitters never win, and winners never quit. I was in high school, and in walks this, I was playing football for the first time in the 9th grade. Never played tackle football before. My coach gives us a talk I'll never forget. He said, you got your pads today. If you don't want to play, tournament, no harm, no foul. But if you come back tomorrow, I need you to stay until the end of the season, because quitters never win and winners never quit. He said, if you quit my football team, you might quit school. Quit school and get married, you might quit school. Have kids, you might quit your kids, because once you quit the first time, it's easy to quit the next time. So I learned that lesson at a very young age. I was never going to quit. Second point, always take care of your people. Always take care of your people. In the Marine Corps, there's a tradition. When you go eat, the higher the rank, the later you eat. The lower the rank, the sooner you eat. That's symbolic of you always take care of your people. Then you say, okay, Carl, that works in the military. What about civilian world? Glad you asked. Let's assume that I'm a supervisor in a manufacturing plant. We make widgets. And first scenario, I'm a bad boss. I tell the person to do something. The person knows that if they do that, it's going to be bad product. They're going to do it, and when it comes back, they're going to throw me under the bus. Second scenario, I'm a good boss. I take care of my people. I do what I say I'm going to do. I make the same command, but the person says, look, Carl, you probably don't want to do that because of X, Y, and Z, because they want to keep me around. Always take care of your people. Third point, always tell the truth. Always tell the truth. When I was in the Marine Corps and I was a pilot, and I had a crew chief with me. I had to depend on that person to make sure that the oil level was sufficient. Otherwise, we would die and killed, right? In the military, civilian world, okay, I found out as I took over organizations, it took me about 6 months to gain credibility because my predecessors had lied and cheated and stole and all that kind of stuff, you know? So always tell the truth. Fourth principle, it's all about relationships. Nobody gets to where they are without relationships, right? 12 years ago, I was diagnosed with stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Not only was I sick, I was broke. Called on my brothers at the Naval Academy. They put a GoFundMe program together before GoFundMe was in existence, many of which I hadn't seen in 30 years. It's all about relationships. The last one is priorities. My priorities are faith, family, and friends. When times get tough, which I learned at the Naval Academy, you can't do everything, you got to prioritize. What's the number one thing? God's number one. What's number two? Family's number two. What's number three? Others. I wrote 2 books. The first one called Sharp Leadership, Overcome Adversity, Lead with Authenticity. And these principles are in that book. The second book, Sharp Leadership, Parenting Principles for Rearing Young People, is about how do you make sure that your kids, when they're 18 years old, they can be healthy, happy, productive young people. Have a blessed day.
Yes, sir. Well, very well spoken and broken down. Talk about how many campuses and people you probably speak to in a year.
They've been mentoring, yeah.
Oh yeah, it varies. Several universities and nonprofits and businesses and individuals. Yeah, so I'm I'm on several boards. One of the boards that I'm on is called Vets Helping Vets. We have about 250 veterans that meet every Wednesday and fellowship and help each other out. I'm on a foundation board at Bon Secours St. Francis Hospital, which is where my wife was treated for her breast cancer.
Yeah.
So I do some volunteer work like that and to help out in the community as well as speak to groups.
All right.
Yeah, we both met at the Mick Hunt event. They talking about leadership. What is leadership to you?
Yeah, leadership is everything starts and falls with leadership. Somebody told me 2 heads is a monster and no heads is a monster. So if you look at any organization, it could be a team, it could be a business, it could be a family. You can only have 1 head. You can't have 2 heads. 1 head, right? And it all flows downhill.
Right.
It starts with the leadership, and it's the basic principle. You take care of your people. One of the things that I learned was there's a guy actually graduated from South Carolina State named General Stanley, and General Stanley was a young captain in the Marine Corps and a professor at the Naval Academy when I was there, and I did some work for him when I got out of the Marine Corps, and he was working for a nonprofit. And he told me, he was on a family trip, picnic for the 4th of July, something like that, right, in Washington, D.C. As a family, it was 4 cars in the family. The family had 4 cars, and they were traveling. Some joker started shooting, right? Killed his uncle, paralyzed his wife from the waist down, right? Anyway, he continues on and becomes a general in the Marine Corps, right? So I worked for him when he was working for this company, And I had several other people that worked for him in different places that he was when he was in the military and other places, right? And they all said the same thing. They said, when we talked to General Stanley, we knew that he would take care of us. He would listen and he would take care of us, right? So there's this myth out there about military leaders being, do what I say and don't ask no questions. The leaders that I have found that have been impactful and powerful, no matter where they are, whether they're corporate executives, generals, coaches, students, superintendents, or whatever, they all take care of their people. They always tell the truth. They're humble. They're humble people. They're not doing this. They're not doing that.
Yeah.
If I see somebody making a bunch of noise, normally they're the ones that's the most insecure. They're the ones that the most insecure. So, I learned a lot about being humble, listening a lot. It's a reason we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Be quick to
Exactly.
It's a
listen,
reason.
slow to speak, and slow to anger.
Yes, sir.
That's right. That's
Most
right.
definitely. So we got one more clip that I want to show everyone. This is Mr. Carl Sharperson Jr., strategist, motivational coach, keynote speaker. He's a Navy grad, military, Marines. You guys named it. He's highly decorated, did it all. We can go ahead and give him this clip. We don't own the rights to it. Stay with us, Mr. Carl.
Okay.
Come back. Have you ever experienced obstacles, maybe felt counted out, or just want to maximize your potential? We have author Carl Sharperson with us, and he's written a great book that it should be on all our coffee tables. It's about sharp leadership. Hey, Mr. Author, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Glad to be here.
And I've run into you a few times, Mr. Sharperson, at events and different things like that. And you've done speeches. You're a military guy, have a long background. What was it about those experiences that made you want to write it down and share it with other people?
Well, one of the things I've always done, I lived my life in such a way that things would happen. I learned from it, and I say, what do I do differently? So I have a lot of experiences in life, and I thought I wanted to share that with individuals. And that's kind of how it came about. So it talks to me about me overcoming adversity, integrating to school, playing football, going to the Naval Academy, becoming a pilot. 11 years ago, I was diagnosed with stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a type of cancer.
Wow.
It talks about that. In '83, I had a brain tumor removed. So different things in life have happened to me, and I've always tried to figure out a way to make it better.
So some good has come out of all those bad things. You're certainly something else. The old joke is, if I'm going to be mediocre, be good at it. But I think you can advance past mediocrity. That book probably will help us, won't it?
It will. It will. I do believe it's a life-changing book.
What do
Your
you?
life certainly
Yeah.
changed.
What is the unifying thread between all of those things? Because any one of those things could tear someone down. So how does one take on all of these elements of their life that are going to happen, and take it to the next step to figure out how a positive impact can come from it?
There are 5 principles in the book. The first one is always tell the truth. The second one is take care of your people. The third one is to never quit.
Yeah.
The fourth one is it's all about relationships. And the last one is faith, family, and friends. So those basic principles are all throughout the book. And that's kind of what I use.
And you travel all over sharing this message. So if someone watching this says, you know what, I have a group of young people that could really utilize this message. I have a football team that could be able to utilize this message. Or we work in a corporate space. If you have a corporation where these things can be used for your team to do better work, what is the best way for people to reach out to you? And what do those messages look like?
Well, I'm very easy to contact on social media, website. If you just Google my name, it'll pop up. But I have a website. Just email me on the website. Tell me what you're looking for, and I can help you.
So you are a motivational speaker. Did you start speaking before you wrote the book? How long were you writing the book? I'm just curious.
I started speaking as a Boy Scout.
Okay.
Initially.
Well, that's a good group.
And then when I was in the military, there was some speaking, and then I got some professional training. So it's something I've always done.
How long did it take you to write the book? I'm just curious.
About 4 months once I started.
Okay.
I had it all in my head, and once I started putting it down and got serious about it, about 4 months.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and we've seen the pictures cycling through of some of the celebrities that you've had the opportunity to work with and to speak for. Do you have a singular moment out of that of an experience of someone that you met that was a celebrity or someone that you looked up to that you really had, they took something from what you were giving them, some of the speeches?
Yeah, the most recent, last week I was at the Naval Academy in an event, and Montel Williams was the speaker. He's a 1980 Naval Academy graduate, and he gave a very moving speech. 150 years ago, the first African American entered the Naval Academy. 75 years, the first African American graduated. So it was a celebration of that. And Montel Williams was the keynote speaker, and he gave a very emotional talk, thinking about what do you think it was like 150 years ago? You know. He got spat on, rocks thrown at him. He lasted about a year. So that was probably the most rewarding that I've had most recently.
Yeah. Well, tell me, can we buy the book, say Amazon? How do we get a copy?
Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, you can go to my website and I can send you one and
Right there on the
autograph it.
screen. All right.
Yep, CarlSharpersonJr.com has all that information, and we'll be sure to put it at our website, yourcarolina.tv. But like we said, if you have a group that needs some inspiration and thinking that it ends when they have that terrible thing happen to them, you want to hire this guy to come and speak to them. So, Carl, thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you for your service as well.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Later.
Yes, sir. We're back. So, Carl, what is one of the main things life has taught you in your years, just working in factories, building relationships in the military, connecting with coaches, and developing youth as well?
Yeah, one of the things I think that's the most powerful lesson that I've learned is a couple of. One is it's all about relationships. Relationships can open up doors that money can't buy.
Right.
If you know somebody who's got some power and some influence, they can open up a door that you can't pay for. When you ask people, well, how did you get that job? How did you get on that team? It's because of a relationship that they have, you know? And then the other thing is that love will cover a multitude of sins. I was talking to a pastor who had taken over several different churches that had split, and he said he had an older gentleman that told him this. He said, when you work with these people, you need to love the hell out of them because they got some hell in them. You got to love the hell out of them. You know? So, love will cover a multitude of sins. If things ain't working right, it's very difficult for anybody to treat you bad if you're loving on them. You know, and
Yeah, that's true.
It's like martial arts. When somebody comes at you, you don't meet force with force. You pull them. You use their force. That's what happens when you sprinkle love on them. It messes them up.
Exactly.
Yeah, for real. Hey, do you have a message for someone that's dealing with mental health problems in these days and times?
Yeah, I would say get some help, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Everybody needs somebody, and the flip side of that is always be willing to listen to people. I think we're in a society now where people are a lot more isolated than they were. It used to be a time where there was community. You had family members, you had community members, and then you took care of each other. Now everybody's a loner and they're on their phone. So at a very young age, you can get a bunch of stuff poured into your head that's not good.
Yeah,
And,
that's right.
You got no community. You feel like you're alone. So that's what I would say is to reach out to community as well as, I'll give you this quick example. So I was working out at the YMCA. There's this guy that I see periodically, and he came up to me one day, and he's a white guy, and he looked at me he looked me dead in the eye. I got kind of scared. He looked me dead in the eye. He says, "You know what?" He says, "I don't know who you are, and I don't know what you do, but I appreciate you speaking to me every morning. My name is John."
Right.
Just being kind to people. I mean, it's a game changer.
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
Any message for the youth with social media and all this NIL? There's a whole bunch of circus that's going on in the world with internet. Crime is high. It's just a lot of dysfunction. What is your message to navigate and stay on track to be successful?
I talk about some of this in my book. I talk about there's a Netflix special called The Social Dilemma. I don't know if you've ever seen it before, but it talks about how social media can be addictive, and the founders of the big tech companies, they asked them at the end of this documentary, "Do you allow your kids on social media?" One said flat no. The other one said only from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So those are the founders of this. They know how addictive it is, so they don't allow their kids to participate. But if you're doing that in this day and time, you're swimming upstream because nobody else is thinking like that. But I was talking to this lady after my second book came out. She was a banker. She's been a banker for 30 years. She said, "I just opened up my first bank account with a client and never made eye contact." This is a 19-year-old Clemson student that opened up a bank account in a bank and never made eye contact. He was on the phone the whole time, looking at the phone.
Wow.
So, so the getting the community and being able to communicate is critical.
Yeah. Any shout outs before we head out? The people you like to thank?
I want to give a shout out to Coach Sparks, my mentor and coach, a third most influential person in my life. Shout out to my wife of 39 years. Shout out to my son, Carl III, my grandson, Carl IV. He was 9 months old. My daughter, Casey, who's 34. And all the other people that have poured into my life. I think there's two professions that are the most impactful professions in the world: coach, teacher.
Yes, sir.
They spend more time with kids than anybody else.
It's true.
All right.
It's true, man. Appreciate you coming on. It means a lot.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. For everybody that's watching, you just tuned into a new edition of the Sports Shop 27. I'm your host, Jermaine Colton. I'd like to thank my main man, KJ Kevin Johnson, former Clemson quarterback from 1999 to 2002. And today's special guest, keynote speaker, also motivational coach. He's a strategist, author, and Marine, Navy, and defensive back and wide receiver, Mr. Carl Sharperson Jr. Man with million.
And I just found out that I'm your cousin.
Yes, sir.
Wow, man, small world.
I mean, I told KJ the whole weekend, I said I could feel it. I like, this guy was related to me, man. And then sure enough,
I gotta hang out now.
And I was like, man, good job, KJ, man. You doing everything full circle.
For sure,
Yes,
man.
sir. Appreciate it. We'll chat again. I got your contact information, Carl. I'll give you a call and we'll catch up probably sometime tomorrow afternoon. If you want to stay back behind stage after we end this podcast, you can. For everybody that's watching, you know how we end the show. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. Until next time, be safe, and we'll see you next episode. Peace.